It's a bright Thursday morning. Good morning and welcome to the award-winning morning show here in Ghana, Newday. My name is Josh Quinn, and coming up in the news this morning, government sets up commission of inquiry into the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has urged political parties to deal with vigilantism. And Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, dismisses claims by Electoral Commission that its preliminary report on the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election is full of falsehood. Minority MPs who waved Bloody Widow placard before the swearing-in of Lydia Al-Hassan as MP for Ayawaso West Wogon referred to Privileges Committee after refusing to apologize. And in business this morning, users of the mobile money interoperability platform to enjoy some cost reduction. And on the foreign front, Nigeria's leaders ally says foreigners who intervene in poll are face body backs. Details of these and many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. My name is Josh Quinn. We are live on DSTV channel 279. On to our very first story, government has set up a commission of inquiry to look into the January 31 violence which occurred during the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. This was contained in a statement signed by Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin. Some persons sustained injuries after armed men said to be from national security stormed the residence of the NDC candidate, firing guns. Several individuals, civil society and religious organizations have condemned the incident. And now the Electoral Commission has tasked political parties to deal with vigilantism at a post-IPAC news conference here in Accra. The electoral management body condemned the clashes at the NDC parliamentary candidate's residence in the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency during the election.
The Ayawaso West Wogon by-election was characterized by clashes between alleged national security operatives and members of the opposition National Democratic Congress who were the residents of the party's candidate. Individuals, civil society organizations and religious organizations have condemned the violence which left some persons injured and hospitalized. The Electoral Commission earlier maintained the elections were successful, arguing that the clashes did not occur at any polling station, hence its stand. However, after an IPAC stakeholders meeting on Wednesday, the electoral management body condemned the clashes, calling on political parties to deal with vigilantism.
The Commission condemned the violence that took place in the residence of the candidate of the NDC in the just-ended Ayawaso West Wogon constituency by-election. And the Commission also entreated political parties to work to address the issue of vigilantism within their respective political parties to ensure that similar incidents do not occur in the future. The Commission hinted the meeting of plans to develop a committee to regulate the activities of political parties in this area.
The EC also blamed the security for its lukewarm attitude towards the clashes.
During the recent by-election, it is noted that the security officers should have better handled the clashes which occurred in the home of the NDC candidate than they did.
The IPAC stakeholders meeting deliberated on issues including the 2018 referendum to create new regions, the 2019 district-level elections, and the representation of the People's Amendment Law (ROPAL). The amendment of Article 55, Clause 3 of the 1992 Constitution is to remove the prohibition against political parties in local governance. The article is entrenched, meaning that its amendment requires public approval in a national referendum. Head of Communications at the EC, Eric Kofi Jakpasu, said that the referendum to allow MMDCs to be elected and the district-level elections will be held on the same day.
The timelines for the district-level election and referendum and other related activities will be announced in due course.
And still on the by-election, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, has dismissed claims by the Electoral Commission that its preliminary report on the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency is full of falsehood. National Coordinator Albert Ahin, at a news conference here in Accra, noted the CODEO followed a strict protocol which always ensures that its closed-off poll statements after every election reflect on only what is factual.
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, in a post-by-election news conference, accused CODEO of wrongfully accusing officers and security personnel who were deployed to monitor the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election. The commission indicated that the shooting incidents which happened during the elections did not take place in any of the polling stations in the constituency and therefore did not in any way disrupt the conduct of the overall poll. Addressing the media, the National Coordinator of CODEO, Albert Ahin, insisted nowhere in its preliminary statement suggested the shooting incident happened at a polling station.
CODEO was clear in its statement that CODEO observers witnessed the violent incident, including shooting incident, which took place in the Labaoleshi area at East Legon. The CODEO statement also did not in any way attempt to link the Electoral Commission to the shooting incident, contrary to the EC's claim. CODEO, in fact, pointed out that its observers could not confirm the exact cause of the violent incident.
On the issue of the presence of the security personnel at polling stations, CODEO said it did not state that the presence of station security officers disrupted the voting process.
CODEO's main concerns regarding security arrangements for the by-elections were explicitly stated as the apparent lack of proper security coordination for the election and the heavy and intimidating processes of security personnel at various polling stations.
He assured the Electoral Commission and all its stakeholders of its unflinching commitment to promote electoral integrity. He indicated it will soon release the full report on its findings on the by-election.
In discharging this responsibility, CODEO has always endeavored to work cooperatively and in good faith with the Electoral Commission, as CODEO sees itself not as standing in an adversarial relationship with the EC, but as working ultimately toward a common end of ensuring transparent, credible, and peaceful elections and election management in Ghana.
And now, General Secretary of the Opposition New Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has rejected the Electoral Commission's claim that the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election was successful. Speaking to the media after an inter-party advisory committee meeting, he disputed the basis on which the Electoral Commission described the by-election as peaceful.
The Inter-Party Advisory Committee IPAC meeting on Wednesday provided a platform for the EC to present a report on the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election for onward review. However, after the meeting, General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, noted the NDC rejects the report, which says the election was successful.
We disputed the fact that this claim of Ayawaso by-election being peaceful, and the basis for the commission arriving at that conclusion is wrongful, and it should not be entertained at all anywhere, because it will ridicule the commission itself. If any election management body can call this Ayawaso West Wuogon election as peaceful, then they don't know what they're about.
Johnson Asiedu Nketia wondered the criteria the EC used in calling the election peaceful when there was violence that left some injured. He insisted the EC should be ashamed of the 19% low turnout, which he attributed to the clashes.
They called 19% of the people who are supposed to vote voting. It should worry the person organizing the election that all is not well. And they should not be describing that election as a very successful.
He also questioned reasons for holding the elections on Thursday, January 31, which exceeded the 60 days as stipulated by law.
Away from matters involving the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election, let's delve into Parliament, where the first Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Owusu, has referred minority MPs who waved placards with the inscription "Bloody Widow" just before the swearing-in of Lydia Hassan as MP for Ayawaso West Wogon constituency to the Privileges Committee. The minority had declined to apologize to the MP, indicating it would challenge a ruling with a substantive motion. And here's a report by our parliamentary correspondent, Evelyn Tingma.
On Wednesday, Deputy Majority Chief Whip drew the Speaker's attention to some minority MPs who, he said on Tuesday, waved placards with the inscription "Bloody Widow" just before they walked out as Lydia Al-Hassan was about to be sworn in as MP for Ayawaso West Wogon. He said their action was an attack on all women and should apologize to the MP and women in general. But the minority maintained the action they took was in condemnation of the violence during the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election and not targeted at the MP. The issue attracted several comments on the floor.
If she also cares, she should have gone to visit the people who are hospitalized as a result of the attack in her constituency. She should have come out to condemn the act for us to know that she is also a mother and a caring woman. The people who are hospitalized are also children of women. We have to come together and condemn what happened in Ayawaso and not to pick and choose and divert attention and make it as if it's a women issue and the women on our side will not care about what happened. Yeah.
All those women bodies, women civil society organizations that try to talk about women coming into parliament, talking about women in decision making, this is the time for us to hear their voice. A woman who has stood for election and won, and she is MP-elect, is labeled as bloody woman.
The meaning of bloody widow, when you go to Google and under English, tells you that a woman whose husband has died and who has not married again. Fishing, football, golf widow, informal, humorous, a woman whose partner is often not at home because he or she is fishing or playing football.
And using an adjective bloody to refer to a colleague, Mr. Speaker, or even a woman, is an affront, it is an attack on the integrity and the dignity of womanhood and, Mr. Speaker, of widowhood. No woman chooses to be a widow. The circumstances she is under currently is not what she wished for.
The arguments continued, and the Speaker gave his ruling, asking the minority leadership to apologize to Lydia Al-Hassan, adding it was unparliamentary to use such words. But Deputy Minority Leader James Kluche Aveji said the use of placards in the House was not anything new and usually not sanctioned by the leadership. He said it would be difficult to identify the persons who carried the placards bearing the Bloody Widow inscription and declined to apologize. The Speaker then asked the Clerk of Parliament to review the footage of the previous day's proceedings and identify the individual MPs who held such placards so that they could be referred to the Privileges Committee. Earlier at a news conference, the Majority Women Caucus also demanded that the minority apologizes to the MP and women in general.
And that was Evelyn Tingma coming through with that very report there. And now a group of teachers calling themselves Alliance for Teachers are accusing the Ghana Education Service of banning the use of cane as a means of disciplining school children without broader consultations with teachers. According to them, teachers are still finding it difficult to implement the new disciplinary methods introduced last month.
The Ghana Education Service banned caning in all schools last year. The service argued that corporal punishment inflicts physical pain on children, compelling teachers to use alternative forms of sanctions when they need to punish students. but the group, Alliance for Teachers, does agree to the ban.
To abolish caning in school, we know the effect it has had on some children. If you want to get it out of the system and you want to introduce it, you should be able to, first of all, sensitize teachers for some period of time so that teachers will know that from henceforth, caning is going to be out of the system. So they are going to now make up their mind and look, we are going to brace ourselves for a new way of discipline. If there could be papers, I understand there are papers circulating out there. Guidance and counseling units of the GES have brought out some ways and means that we can discipline the children. At least as I'm sitting down here, I'm a teacher myself. I've not even received any brochure or anything.
A GES research revealed the effects of corporal punishment, including physical scar, trauma, fear, and timidity.
We have developed the Safe School Resource Pack, which has all the relevant things that we have to know about the 3 violent behaviors in our school system: corporal punishment, bullying, and sexual harassment. There's a third document. The first one is the Teacher's Handbook on Safe Schools. The second one is the training manual. And the third one is the peer-to-peer manual. The peer-to-peer manual specifically targets children, because we want the children to know that if we have taken the corporal punishment out of the system, it does not give you the leeway to misbehave.
The GES insists that the park will help build the needed confidence for academic work.
And our management of NAPCO has cautioned recruits on the Hill Ghana module not to resist night and weekend duties. Those who will resist, according to management, will be withdrawn from the program and others enrolled. Greater Accra Regional Coordinator of NAPCO, Haj Baba Mohammed, spoke exclusively to our Labour correspondent, Daniel Opoko.
The NAPCO recruits posted to the various health centers have begun complaining about night duties. Others have also raised concerns about working on weekends, claiming they start work at 8 a.m. and close at 2 p.m., citing unfair labor practices. However, the management of NAPCO has cautioned those to stop resisting weekend duties or risk their exit from the program.
Those who are resisting to cooperate, yes, it means you are not ready to work with NAPCO and you are not ready to help Mother Ghana move forward, and therefore you must exit from the program. They draw a monthly roster where they are supposed to rotate monthly. So if it gets to your time, you are supposed to come in the night and you say you cannot, that one will never be countenanced.
Currently, some recruits are still complaining of not receiving their monthly stipend. The management said those recruits will be paid after resolving their problems with their bankers.
2000, these are people with GN bank issues. It has just been resolved that we'll pay them with the GN bank e-switch numbers this month, this December stipends, but the subsequent ones will be paid with the e-switch numbers, the new e-switch numbers they provided.
Meanwhile, NAPCO has organized a monitoring training for its regional and district coordinators, expected to provide monthly reports from beneficiaries of the program.
So, finally, ladies and gentlemen,
Business this morning, users of the mobile money interoperability platform are likely to enjoy some cost of reduction. And this managers of the platform say is to boost subscription and increase financial inclusion. Here's a report by Grace Hamwa Asare.
The mobile money interoperability platform was launched in May last year to, among other things, provide a platform for easy and convenient transfer of funds from one telecommunications network to another. The move was part of government's agenda to achieve a cashless society and also digitize the economy. Currently, users are charged 1.5% on monies transferred, a development which customers say is rather on the high. CEO of Gibbs, developers of the platform, Achihese, says his outfit has begun stakeholder consultation on reducing the cost.
Despite the convenience that we have, we still believe that there's a need for us to grow the volumes. As the volumes increases, as we are seeing now, we believe that we can go back, have a look at our cost structure, and then possibly reduce the current price.
He added that intensified education in the use of these platforms is a way to go towards achieving a cashless society.
We would educate them about these advantages and then support them along the journey. There are times when individuals and corporates actually seize the advantages and reasons why they should use it. But the change process can be cumbersome, and under the circumstances, there's a need for individuals or a team to be supporting them with the change management process.
The platform has also made it possible for people to transfer funds from their mobile money wallets to their bank accounts without physically going to a banking hall or using the platform of a fintech.
And now to the court, where the first accused person in the murder of the late Abuakwa North MP, Daniel Esiedu, has for the second time accused some members in the governing New Patriotic Party NPP for contracting him to kill JB Dankwa Edu. He told an Accra Magistrate Court he is committed to come out with the truth, even at the peril of his life. Here's a report by Godfrey Tanam.
Daniel Esiedu and Vincent Bosso appeared before the court for the committal proceedings to put them before the High Court for trial to commence. Prosecution read out the facts of the matter, indicating that the accused persons planned a robbery at Shiashi, but upon arrival at the scene, a misunderstanding ensued as to where to proceed. Vincent Bosso aborted the plan and left for a different location. Daniel Esiedu, according to prosecution, however, went to the home of the late MP, stabbed him to death and robbed him of his 3 mobile phones. But Daniel Esiedu denied the claim, stating that he was instigated by some members of the NPP to kill the late MP, but since his arrest, he has not seen any of them. He told the court he was asked to implicate some individuals in the National Democratic Congress (NDC) then in power. He wondered where prosecution got the facts from because that was not the statement he presented to the police. He insisted he needed a lawyer from the International Criminal Court to assist his lawyers to prosecute the case, a situation he believes will help him come out with the whole truth. The court therefore committed the accused persons to trial at the High Court on March 11. The Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, who is holding brief for the family of JB Dankwa Edu, is pleased the case has been referred to the High Court for trial.
Because at long last, almost 3 years now, and eventually today has come as the end of the legal activities. So it's a very good news.
JB Dankwa Edu, who was the MP for Abuakwa North on the ticket of the NPP, was murdered at his residence at Shiashi in Accra on February 9, 2016. Godfrey Tanam, TV2 News, Accra.
And now onto the foreign front, where a key ally of Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday said people from overseas who sought to intervene in the country's election to be held in a little over a week would go back in body bags. Nasser Al-Rufai, governor of the northern state of Kaduna, made the comment during a discussion program on the Nigerian Television Authority when the topic of the international community's role in elections was raised. It followed an international outcry over the suspension of Nigeria's top judge. The February 16 vote in Africa's top oil producer, Pet Buhari, a military ruler in the 1980s who was voted into office in 2015 against main opposition candidate Atiku Abubakar, a businessman and former vice president, in a race widely seen as tight that has become increasingly rancorous in the last few weeks. The discussion about the role of foreign countries in elections was raised on the program, in which reference was made to concerns expressed by the European Union, the United States and Britain over the suspension of Chief Justice Walter Onnoghen over allegedly breaching asset declaration rules. And on that note, we end news here on Newday. Remember, you can get more news updates on our website. It's 3news.com. Newday continues right after this very break. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah, the things that happen behind the scenes will remain behind the scenes. If you want to find out, just join us one of these days here in studio. But good morning. It's a beautiful Thursday, going into the weekend for Bright. He started, but we'll be joining him tomorrow. But I think this new year we'll try and join the habits of starting on. Maybe we should even push it to Wednesday.
I tell you, the Thursday thing is luxurious, so we can't join.
It's for rich men.
Bright has been on pension, then he's come back to work. He has saved a lot, so he can afford to do it.
He can balance the economy, but we are still stabilizing.
We have planned to chill this weekend.
The weekend will suffer in your house.
I'm telling you, I'm doing the mountains. I'm coming down. You see the mountain top and down like that.
Hey,
the
mountain top and
down.
So
will you be losing weight along the line?
Yeah, of course, I will. So
but is it for funerals, weddings,
no, there are a couple of things. There's an outdooring, so engagement. So it's a planned thing.
Pro-life.
So those of you who do not have anywhere to go this way, you can join me. I promise to be very exciting.
Yvonne Nelson says she needs a date.
But I'm around.
So she should join.
I haven't closed my doors yet.
Yet?
No.
So
when is the closing date?
Knock on hers. She hasn't closed her hers either.
Sometimes they must also knock on ours. You don't have to be knocking on.
But she sat here and knocked on everybody's door.
And you wasn't anywhere to be found. You know how Right likes delay tactics. But this year we'll be having GMB again. I hope you are ready to be the shepherd.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I've always been ready. The point is that I don't know why they always go past me and give it to other people.
So have you thought about it? That is that something I'm not doing right that makes the board that considers this not wanting me?
I think it's a conspiracy to keep me out.
No, it's not conspiracy. You are not.
Yeah, paranoid.
Because I've been close to them and I don't see you anywhere.
Right is going through paranoia concerning GMB. But anyway, guys, it is a beautiful one, and thank you for joining us. We plan to make it a beautiful show. But Bright, what do we have lined up for today?
Well, I passed through the Obrasport. The guys are gathering this morning on Daily Rant. Sadly, we'll be there to let you see the people who will be going the
They're killing us.
Okay, demonstration.
So they're there. Yesterday, Bernard Monarch confirmed to Stephen News at 10 that the lockdowns that they had with the police have been solved. Apparently, the police had wanted them to use certain routes. They also were insisting on what routes, because they insist that there's nothing like traditional routes. And eventually, the police said, "Okay, well, I mean, you can have your way, but you will have to fulfill certain requirements. Of course, know that your people must not misbehave and all of that." You said
exactly.
A peaceful demonstration. So it's going to happen. They will go first to the Interior Ministry and then come to where there were three places and go to the presidency finally.
The headquarters.
Yes, the police headquarters, and then they will come to the Flagstaff House.
And I think that's where, for me, that's the beauty of the demonstration or peaceful demonstrations, and the fact that this would highlight one of the events that lets people understand that you're allowed to demonstrate. It's within your right to do so, but it's just that you have to do it in collaboration with our security agency so that there's, smooth transition, there's peace, and we don't have issues of violence and all that. So I think it's not all flats that people have been calling on the police. We asked to do a demonstration and they said we can't, and so the police is against a particular group or other. I think this will be one of those things that you can stand on and say, oh, the police and this group had that interaction and were able to reach a middle ground, and everyone is happy with what is going to occur.
Just on a lighter note, yesterday when Bernard Mona was on News at 10, somebody put a message under the stream. It says, "You're always chasing these things. When are you bringing PNC to power?"
But he will bring PNC to power if we allow him.
You'll gather people at the
Obrasport.
But when will you bring people? But Amma, what's a demonstration? If you go to Google, for example.
Hey, Google.
Yeah, I want
in this day and age, Johnny, where we have
all right.
Google is beautiful.
The MP for Pusiga said, if you go to Google,
okay.
But you have.
And I wish I could see.
From that,
I don't have Google on my phone. I wish I could see what Parliament allows in on the floor of Parliament. Some of the discussions and where they go, I think yes. For our Ghanaian Parliament, everything is allowed.
But if you want to go to Parliament, what do you need?
Widow.
What do you need to go to Parliament? You need to have lived in a constituency for 5 years, be 21 years and above.
People believe in you small.
Yeah, people believe in you. If you belong to NDC and NPP, your chances are better. Yeah, and you could in there.
And of course, so we'll be talking about that. And apart from that,
I don't have.
You don't have Google.
No, I don't have.
We also have a newspaper.
Then you will not know definitions.
That will come up. And then we'll be talking a lot more about the Free Senior High School issue, and as well as a throwback are thirsty. The guy, what is his name? Papa Shini?
He says he's an evangelist now.
Oh,
evangelist Papa. Interestingly, most of the people around that lane are becoming evangelists.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Pascal Amanfo was here.
He's also an evangelist.
Yes, and KK Kabobo was here last week.
He's also an evangelist.
Yes,
the end time is near. It's
No,
allowed.
but
God allows everyone to have, time.
I'm worried why Ofori and Posa couldn't stay in there.
You do not think that you
of-
do not think that sometimes in our own small way we are evangelizing.
Oh, we are.
Because you don't need to, if you're a musician, you don't need to tell us that you have become an evangelist to suggest that you're now going to get to know God or you're going to preach God's word. Sometimes the music that you sing, it's a kind of
even
evangelism.
your life is a Bible that somebody
agree,
could
because
read.
right, if
you are
you're
a
doing
role model.
hip hop, if you're doing R&B, I mean, there's certain genres of music that don't particularly fall into evangelism. You'll be evangelizing, all right, but certainly not God. You're evangelizing whatever is back, spirits are backing you.
no,
But
I
the
mean,
point
if
is,
you
no.
look, if
There's
you
some
listen
songs
to,
that, I mean,
if you listen to,
and some videos that we've even seen, there's no way I can go and say that person is evangelizing God. They are evangelizing a particular trait or attitude, which is fine. But they tend,
For example,
particularly
love.
in Ghana, we
Love.
tend to talk about evangelists, and it's as if all you do is preach verbally God. So when they come and say, I've stopped doing this music, but now I'm evangelizing, that's what they want you to understand. That the particular genre of music that they were doing was not portraying God. But
behold,
now
all things are
have
passed
become-
away.
Thank you.
All things are
okay, so
become
if
So I think it's the context
a
in
match
which
they
you
did
want it.
sings,
He's evangelizing, have you?
of course, he
Yeah,
is.
I mean,
He's
keep your faith.
encouraging
To
people
keep your faith, yeah.
Okay,
That
Yeah.
things
if a
will
match
be well.
is singing, what does it mean?
Are you asking me? He's evangelizing. Oh, come off it. You know what they mean. Allow them. It's okay.
Oh, no,
I mean,
but
God gives everyone the time. If he touches you, he calls you.
But
He's
you
called
need to have
come
a
and do-
title to say
No,
that.
you
Yeah.
certainly
I am
don't. You
evangelizing.
certainly
Yes.
don't. Your
For
life
instance,
should speak.
Journalists, like
about
what we do. It is a way of evangelizing. Because we allow people who do not have voices to speak. Okay. And so it is another way of worshiping God.
Yeah,
So
helping
I'm not too excited when I hear people say, okay, I was here, I have moved from here, I am here. Now it means that I'm going to get to know God or serve God better. I think that whatever you do, whether you are an accountant, whether you are a boxer, a footballer, or in your own way, you are
evangelizing. That's true.
But it's just that some people are not conscious of what they are doing as a platform to evangelize. Because when God created us, he expects that whatever talent he gives to you is able to, showcase his glory so that someone will see and say, oh, I like the way this guy plays football.
Right.
Even how he does it is different from all the other footballers. And so, yes, but they don't appreciate
But
that.
I
That's
also think that, look,
platform.
most of the songs, like you mentioned, Amachi Dede, Kojo MP and the rest, if you take time to listen to the lyrics in the song, you would come to realize
see
that,
a
look,
God factor.
if you listen to a lot of the Kojo MP songs, or Amachi Dede or Daddy Lumba, the real love songs, not the very sensual ones, you will need a counselor. Because it speaks speaking to you.
I agree.
Lumba has one.
But we just like to dance to the beat.
I don't know why today all I remember.
Lumba has.
It's still back Thursday. We should have done it.
I think that's where Eddie K got his do the dance from, because this guy's going like this, and then Eddie K comes like,
all right.
Oh, it's a beautiful Thursday. That's how we're going to make it on the show.
The National Road Safety Commission and the MTTD had said some time back, like 2-3 years back, that every public transport must have some seat belts.
Oh, really?
They said yes. Yeah. You remember that was why the trotros at the time were picking 4 passengers per row, and they had to make them reduce it to 3 so we could have space. Now the trotros are benefiting from it. The drivers' unions are benefiting from that. The public is benefiting from that. But we don't have the seat belts. And you realize that every single public bus that gets an accident or collides or whatever it is, tumbles over, the number of lives that are lost, sometimes everybody in there dies. Everybody, compared to if you have a private vehicle that had somebody strapped in a seat belt and then it goes round and round, you could save a life or two, or maybe save all of them. we need to go back to that conversation.
We do, but Johnny, do you remember when we had that conversation, the many reasons for it not being successful or not likely to happen?
Oh, they will always say it is not successful.
And I think we fell in love with the reasons, and so everyone forgot about it. Because you see, interestingly, the drivers of these trotros and all, they have seat belts, and so when they see the police, immediately what do? They hook it by some means, and it looks like they have a seat belt. Immediately they pass the police, they put it off. So and for them, it's a money-making venture.
Exactly.
If they're going to have to fix seat belts and it's going to reduce the number of passengers they can take, and really sometimes if we even ensure it, will the police be checking at every spot? No.
That's the point. That's the point. But you see, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't make meaning that we'll have the National Road Safety Commission come to tell us, oh, only this number of people died, and the numbers are reducing. But so if it used to be 1,005, then it will be 1,382. Then they tell you only 1,382.
So we are gaining grounds.
So we are gaining grounds. People are dying, and we keep announcing it. And yet the same rules that you set for yourself, you're not even able to apply back. And I always say, if you want to apply sanctions, you must be complete in your processes. At the lorry parts where these trotros or public transport, whatever it is, some are even cargo vehicles that have been converted into public transport. We'll talk about that another day. But where they load from, whether it's Seko, Kutubabi, whichever place it is, Tema New Town or Ashaman, you have officials there. Do they ensure that these things, you see, and if you want us to speak for you as drivers, you must learn to do the right thing. We must. It's the same people, when they cross the border and go into the US, UK, Canada, whatever it is, they ride in buses and they use the seat belts.
Johnny, but just talking about this law enforcement and all that, have you seen Circle? When you're taking the road and you're climbing towards the post office, so you're coming from TV3, you know, just that strip, there are 2 lanes. The trotros have occupied one permanently.
Yes, they are taking over.
Yes, it's their lane.
But is there supposed to be a bus bail for them to stop temporarily and go?
But you realize that sometimes there are even 3-4 policemen there, and they will still flout the law.
They
and
take
so is it that
small?
As to whether they take, you and I were not there, but I see them there, and I see them trying. There was a particular night where I saw a patrol team actually chase one trotro driver all the way to the end of the Caprice Road to, you know, arrest him and say he has flouted the law. But for how long?
But if you meet a policeman at that bus bay with about 3 or 4 trotros at the same time and he's chatting with them,
no, that's one of the reasons why, for me, why the ILO thing didn't work. You see, because the trotros outnumbered the ILO buses, and so people who wanted
ILO itself is collapsed.
Yes, who
we need 20 million to ring
wanted to use the bus will go, and there are so many trotros around. The bus can't even get proper place to stop, and so sometimes it is compelled to slow down, do some rough parking, and get people down, and then.
But you know why that happened. You had people in political power who own these vehicles, these trotros and the motorbikes that are causing a lot of nuisance in town. And so when they park in the way of the Ayalolo buses, you get people make calls, they will let them go. Let them go. You remember there was one instance where we had somebody from Yoko or BNI, what is it, who parked, you know, where an Ayalolo bus is supposed to park, and he had the effort to even come and arrest the driver and cuff him and all of that. What happened to that gentleman? Nothing.
Investigation.
Nothing. They will tell you investigations, just like the committee that has been set up. Investigation. What happened to the
Aziz Dollar is watching us from
he
just sent me a photograph of he and his beautiful, a handsome boy. You're watching us.
Good morning.
Aziz, good morning to you. And but finally, you know what they do in Canada these days? The police do not stand by the roadside. They sit in public buses. And then they monitor the offending drivers. So you are not wearing your seatbelt, because when you see him on the street, you quickly wear it. So they will ride in buses in plain clothes. And then they have the evidence right before you even speak, master. No wahala. But as we are talking, people are planning to go on a peaceful demonstration today. Johnny, what's your view on that? Is it going to be peaceful? I pray so. I would want to preempt that it will be peaceful, considering the steps they take.
Of that
match should ensure that
it is.
But you see, right, again, the leadership can't promise one thing. They can tell the people another thing. But when you get out onto the street, you have millions or thousands of people following you. How do you police them to ensure that they are doing the right thing or not? It depends on how you work them. I mean, usually when they congregate at your brass spot, the leaders will come and work them up a bit, charge them up a bit. What they say to them before they start the match
is what instigates or
influences them a great deal.
Their behavior.
Yes, it influences
So we
them
hope
a
they
great
speak,
deal.
peace prior to the demonstration, so that when they go out, they do exactly that. Anyway, let's step out and rant with Eric this morning.
Hello, good morning and welcome to today's edition of the Daily Rant. My name is Eric Yawaje. Now, barring any last-minute changes, the Inter-Party Coalition for National Sovereignty will hit the streets of Accra to protest brutalities recorded during the recently held by-election at Ayawaso West Wagon. But hear this, there appears to be a standoff, if you will, between the organizers of the demonstration and the Ghana Police Service. While the Ghana Police Service wants the demonstrators to stick to what they describe as traditional routes, the organizers are raising an objection, saying that they want a route that will best fit their purpose. Are we in for another Let My Vote Count moment? This is the Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
The political parties now, what plan of it? I have one right, 100% right there. Otherwise, demonstration for anything be allowed to there on year when you're happy on what Ghana, because if you buy election, more cordial, my brother, or your munyo sin by election in Ghana here. Though most of by election are you small value, but this is the most worst by election I Ghana. I'm presenting will be that. In fact, I'm appealing to the police, IGP. You should allow them to demonstrate peacefully.
Ibia wonwa kwenja na so mbra Ghana ha ochre there say eliko demonstration or there ekobo oye bambofo oye police for amene na watchre there fa na asumdun yadan ombra ibia CCP onsun oye 209 police for nonsun in the 2019 oye yode police for when na police na la inti sa wacho akama police for ami me ye bi kura mpa nche kwa apia moko because yen na ye pia asomdwe na police for no was one for her o there wodim blado on ye there won wo be che police for ma won ye
meje di se Ghana ha no ya ye o man se ye nye Christopher a ye Muslim country and ye woman, and at the end of the day we believe in our Bibles, we believe in our Holy Quran. Na ewo me ye Christiani ewo me Bible me say ye wadie ina ho kwan na nya die ina na efatan say wo be demonstration fine your right, but ye was security ewo manyimu. Mind you, ebia the intelligence of the Ghana security now and national security, one man will say demonstration na mo baye no say bi nipa na be demonstration no say ye fa ansha o kine bi e de oye ne foforo beba e de kasa foforo beba enti sa na tie dia mo fa enti my demonstration we dey kowe House of Folk Park na mpanumfu ababejia from ministry ababejo wherever they will come from o ababejia eno no e be say demonstration na mo ye no anasa te san se bi o ka fra yembu ye ma ne kakra o kro na yetim yembu kro no na ya yembu mpanumfu enti we demonstration na we ko fa Jubilee House na nimo e na ye den e na be sesa adekode potin ya e say ye pe no.
Jubilee House is for every Jubilee House. So why you doing such what I come for Jubilee House? Who any problem be allow police for Bakada 1 year. Into you about to trust the IGP. No, you should allow the demonstration to do it peacefully. Because
by election pony. Na general election dey nebesi. Enti me de e kamenku a one me teacher constitution no e bia da so e ba ye anka by election yentwam. Yes, oh yes. Yes, say constitution. Now you by elections. Oh yes. At the end of the day, say now you need by election and can a whole member of parliament. What kind of life is that? By election.
Demonstration now welcome oye de wo bokwa
demonstration no ye 100%
oye baby ala ne botuma afa na na do so oye president of Ghana onye Jubilee House enimo ene wodi kafa wa asam no wo beti police for no wa mon bia won fa Nti say NDC for what I say. They won't say one ka for Jubilee House one a e kwa apia me police for one year well. One fan bamba for. Na so odi ba for na police for what on the police for. I will be allow belu and pay ubelu ko bi no. Two banefo. The NDC what ubelu ko akoto from. Say Jubilee House any mo na opeda wo fada. And me catch one. The bad ten bi allow ubelu ko bi and pay no. Catch ni there. Do ma wedding kana about say. Boot for boot. IGP. Do mama ndin kan ka fa number. On fambra. Mo be demonstration we nim. No ka for Jubilee House wo. Say do mama kan fa number da. Anu ba ten biala. Owo oye Accra no. Na why the demonstration no. So when we do mama ni be biala mo monko bi. Because I mean mama one woman shame. One need them invisible was shame apart security food. No wa sha wa cost into about to transfer IGP. Them from intelligent yes aka. Into your peaceful demonstration your fight.
But what's there? One Fahade, Mom Fahade, Aberdeentina, but one Fahade, I Ghana, Sassy, John Mama, maybe what's walking for Afghanistan, Mama, boot for Buta, said your Mama could have boot for Buta, or Sidan, nah, and in the Bakobi. John Mama, no, Massa, John Mama, or didn't make Gufio. Then I'll catch one and crown for. Then once it's a one bank demonstration. Let my vote count. Let my vote count. What catch on the mama for Cafano? It's bad and Biala Wakra. Not your mama's boot for boot. Or didn't man in the bush for Goofy. Not one quan. Nalama Obacobino. Wobani Odacho. Wobani Odache. It is also on that.
But why say I was say yes, send this strong signal. Which of course we now admit to say demonstration you'll be on the right. By what say yet I say Obiba Obiniba Kobia on Tunfunu Njai. Does that mean say Mabo Mitinu Pasa and a demonstration by Basabasana? No, you're not yes, sir. You understand? You're not yes, sir. So why would him say one more right? Which of course would tell Satikaya. Remember Tina TV Casiso and send one.
The police follow. The police follow. What's one for? Not one of what leaders know. What's one quanka for baby? I'm a police for what's one for. I'm a Makina, a batten Biala Waka. No, my police for not other one fan. What's one for Okafa baby? No, Mama Ubanon Kobi. Or send a let my vote count. You won't do. Let my vote count. You won't do. You're better second one, Bessie. It's a American Massa. I'm your many Manado. Because I forces. I'm not IGP. Mabaka IGP. That's what and another Mama Woban. Wobano on Fanko. Now Mubaka and the Woban cover Jubilee House. Make your plan there. Mama Woban cover Jubilee House war. Because police for no one young woman. And the police for there. I don't cover Jubilee House. EBC. And your mama so say boot for boot. It's woman on cover Jubilee House war. Not so Kafa, not in Trumbituna. I want to say why do. Shut your mama. Also boot for boot. National 2020 boot for boot. Don't you show them demonstration on the video? Your mama demonstration forces.
Miriam Kakra. Kopa say them crash SRT and yende. And at the end of the day, and a mom papa ben ye true or one but pim se ya e bia kwesi media me ya say a whole member of parliament ultimate true sabonasum. It's a nice so. But instances crisis are possible for any amount for your ukuma. And when you have solution to it. One, make us a principal Cassie and Numbia. Now we have demonstration. Our Fujasi. Now you have nominated DC. And I'm Castle Montiasi. The same thing. Omuchu Mugum Montia, a principal Cassie woman, and so the seniors and get trapped. Make I one Tuesday. And also the same thing. Representation of People's Amendment Bill. And so one quiet who demonstration. And I'm so principal Kuya and some could see. A bill. Orako kwanda ho ebra ya che no say ayen ma se be si okruma ano so nda ho ebia new adu bia se npo na farmers a wo mo che say good man ya wo say wo mo sase enti wo mo enter wo mo premises one was stop wo mo and also the same thing and ebia sa kwakosi enti dem class no dey ya na ye am ye betum ye to ase afi kroyim ano ne ehia so. Anya no ne hia.
Early demonstration or you right. And please for say for 9 brother bedan ever for. Do mama kaka boot for boot. It's one for mama wa pen obey. Na mama pen obey da.
Na say na police SMP mo fa. Na we man direction. Say na we feel be mo for. Abe from be born okono. Oya insecurity na what then?
Wala Jubilee House.
Na Jubilee House why demonstration ko wa? This is the first time why demonstration ko Jubilee House. Jawagana 2016 2015 demonstration say why year one
police na catch other man for.
Ana brofo na ebo
na wo so say eba fa na oba boot oya enti do mama no boot ehun boot o se na akasa ehun ota
ekwapia
40 feet container do mama ehwe boot o se na 40 feet container enti anya amem water kwade nko bi na wana wo wan kranda do mama na abu wo kwe wala kada wo ban e chana pa bebe police for akada mo for one ka for one ekwapia me se one ka fa oh no police let my vote count waka want no wakwa wacha wan bibi kakra bi enti se wo bokwa ekwapia mo police for no we independent body wo because I don't mama wa koto or 40 feet container that send and
I see
they boot for boot ma and also one kind demonstration whereby a police man I catch one there baby I want fun on your mama want fun your mama say boot for boot into one coordinator responsible and we pay.
Ghanaians are going to
vote. Police put them for. I believe internet.
Oh, you want it right. Oh, you want it right.
Oh, you all right there.
Oh, you all right.
All right. Internet come on, bro.
Oh, you all right. What's a peaceful demonstration? What's a peaceful demonstration? Peaceful demonstration. What to tell sama? I know you put my man family payment for. But what's a peaceful demonstration? What let haba? When not one more to more than 5 days ago. It's the reason why IGP no is excellence in Anado. Also, I'm paying 1 Jubilee House.
Before, one year, sir, na pay on demonstration. I have an amateur letter and quay. Amateur letter and sub-7. I'm going to call ministries. And I'm going to call him for. And your police station. Didn't you to come out police for? Send a direct to a mobile guide you as to be a was one of her. And to my letter come out police for. Or say for her. Was my men for Hanamefa. Didn't trouble. Trouble. Yes. At the end of the day, no. Basabasayana whooping. And at the end of the day, then Trassi Quay. Namufa Basabasan myself, man. Who respect? Sabi. When him say one person be Brasso. We are law abiding citizens. Who your letter? Who the come police for? And one more directive say for Hana baby ufa ebebuani. Why say ebe jaws are men for her? Until letter now the command police no. What the command here again?
White House for boy demonstration. White House.
Well, I don't know what your thoughts are, but you can go onto our various social media platforms and post them there. I'm sure that judging from what is happening, you may want to reconsider your decision if you want to be part of this morning's demonstration, because there's a likelihood that there could be some clashes over the route. My name is Eric Keoje, and this has been the Daily Runs from Takrady. Thank you so much for watching.
The Business Finder this morning starts and says a big boost for fish livestock sectors, multi-million-dollar feed plant for Tema, and West Blue sues Unipass. That's the Business Finder this morning. The BNFT says Ghana Link Unipass sued over single window plagiarism. That's how the BNFT put the story. Daily Guide, Emil Short probes Ayawaso shootings. His photograph is here. And the widow of a former MP, who is now the MP elect, says, I forgive you, Jaku widow to NDC MPs. And Speaker Saks Suhini. These are stories on the Daily Guide. The Daily Graphic, Ayawaso West War Gone by-election violence, Emil Short chairs Commission of Inquiry. And the Ghana Link story gets some space here. And new regional capitals to be known by next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, we'll know which of the cities get the opportunity to become the capitals of the new regions. And Speaker refers minority MPs' behavior to Privileges Committee. The Times says government set up commission of inquiry. Photographs of the three, Mr. Patrick Kwatney Champo, former IGP, Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, and Justice Emil Short, all of them. And the last, the Secretary, Kofi Abuchi, is also one of the members of the commission. Those are some of the stories who touch on this one. My guest to do the talking, Richard Ahiagba, is a member of the NPP team. Good morning.
Good morning.
You didn't join the demonstration?
No, I won't, and I disagree with it.
Okay.
In principle.
Okay, grateful for your time with us. And Member of Parliament for the Mian constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Mohammed Abdulaziz is also here. Good morning too.
Good morning, Bright.
Are you joining?
Yes, I would join my colleagues right from your studios here. I will join them. And I invite my brother to have a red shirt I can offer you so that you would partake in that demonstration to protect our democracy, at least.
You know what I missed, right? I missed joining him in Yendi. That I missed very dearly.
Oh, okay.
But that's as much as him and myself will solidarize.
Oh, okay. All right. Gentlemen, welcome. Let's start with the big one. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has, with the consent of President Akufo-Addo, set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the violence which occurred during the by-election at the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency on January 31. That's how the Daily Graphic puts the story. The 4-member commission has Mr. Justice Emil Short as chair, Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu and Mr. Patrick Kwatney Champo as members. A former dean of the Faculty of Law at GIMPA and the private legal practitioner Kofi Abuchi is as the secretary to the commission. Now, they are to make a full, faithful, and impartial inquiry into the circumstances of and establish the facts leading to the events and associated violence during the Ayawaso West by-election. Again, they are to identify any person responsible for or who has been involved in the events, also the associated violence and injuries, and also to inquire into any matter which it considers incidental or reasonably related to the causes of the event and the associated violence and injuries. And they are also to submit within 1 month its report to the President, giving reasons for its findings and recommendations, including appropriate sanctions, if any. That's the story on the Daily Graphic. Richard, let me start the conversation with you. What do you make of, before we even look at the commission, the setup proper, and what they are to do? Already people are raising concerns about if this commission can stand as it is, if the President can get up and set up a commission. Some have suggested they need to go through Parliament. We have information that that process has kick-started. Even though Honorable Aziz is an MP, you are in government. Can you confirm if that process has started?
Well, very good morning to you, Bright, and to your viewers, to my senior brother. It's been a while. And I said earlier that I really, truly missed joining with him in Yendi. And I said so because he's just a few distance away from Yendi. So his constituency is critical. Yeah. I think in chieftaincy-wise also is very critical. I would have loved to join with him to celebrate what we have achieved together, and the hard-working president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to celebrate truly a historic moment for Ghana and for the people of Dabon. On that score, I think I would defer comment on that for now, for good reasons. If my brother, senior brother here, finds it's okay to talk about it.
We're trying to reach the information list. Yes. When we get it, we'll put that question.
Yes. Now, on the commission as a whole, I want to say, beyond everything, you commend the president for certain things that he's doing, but this, I want to emphasize my commendation for the president. Because if you look at the history of by-elections in Ghana, you realize that what we are talking about, even though very disturbing, is very minuscule compared on a scale of other disturbances that has occurred in by-elections in this country. And I suspect that if you look at Ayawaso and compare to the other ones, places like Etiwa, Cherponi, where my brother will be very familiar with, Talensi, the fact that they occurred outside of Accra made it appear something small, didn't get that media elevation that Ayawaso got. But they are, for me, when this conversation should have started, there were Talensi, Etiwa, and the rest of Cherponi, Asawasi to some extent, were the places where we should have had commissions to begin with. Never happened. But on this occasion, we have a president who understands that when you lead people. And the concerns of the people should be your concern. And coming out with this commission of inquiry, I think is one of the exemplary things that this president has done. And I am very proud to associate with him as a Ghanaian and also as a party member of the NPP. So I pray that all of us would defer to the commission and ensure that we give the commission all the support we can muster to ensure they do a clean job. And I think in their terms of reference, they are instructed to do a good faith investigation, which means that they are supposed to be as independent, focused on the matter in a way that allows them to get us all to a place where we would learn instructive lessons from what has happened in Ayawaso. And I think that whatever we learn from here would help us as a people moving forward and how we conduct ourselves generally. Because if you see what has happened in Ayawaso, the spillover to Parliament and the behavior that followed, nothing especially has been very exemplary about it. And I feel that the Commission has a very tall order. And I want to thank the President for his support for them. And I want all of us to support them. Now, I would have wished that in knowing that there's a commission that is to start work on the very things that all of us are focused to try to, fix, so that this is not the first time we've had by-election skirmishes, but to be able to say that this is where we draw the line, that going forward, election democracy, as we have come to know it, is one person, one ballot. Make your choice. We count it at the end of the day, and whoever gets majority leads us. And all of us who support that individual, even though my brothers in the NDC side don't agree with that, because it doesn't suit their interest often to believe in one man, one ballot. I think that we should get to a point where we'll support this, and to say even today, that demonstration, okay, is not necessary because it's needless. What are you demonstrating? The very thing you're demonstrating is being fixed. So are you interested in fixing the problem or just making noise? Are you interested in fixing the problem or just trying to promote bad story in Ghana? Right. This morning, there's 1,001 things we should be talking about. Yesterday, I took a journey to the Volta region, and everywhere you go, you realize that there is a lot of problems begging for solutions. That's what we should avert our minds to. That's what we should use our energy every morning to address, not dissipate them in doing demonstrations from Obrasport to ministry to police headquarters to this. That's not what. This country is full of problems, seeking solution. And you have a government that was here for 8 years. In fact, in this Fourth Republic, 16 years altogether, okay? And those problems under them got worse. We have a government 2 years in power, managed to bring ideas that can solve our problems, starting from ensuring that all of us can be literate. Not literate because you have money, but literate because it's necessary for our development for everyone to become literate. So we're doing free SHS. That's a government that I want to support. That's a policy that I want us to come this morning and say, how can we make that policy work? How can we improve it? How can we economize it so we can reach more people? After here, 3-4 years down the road, these kids are going to be going to university. How do we prepare ourselves? Rather than go to a brass sport this morning, charge ourselves to do things that will not be productive. In fact, to do things that will compound the problem. Because when people go there and dissipate their energy, I guarantee you, when people call for boot, they themselves are not going to be the one doing the boot. Other people will be doing. The energies they are dissipating after they do that, where do they get the replenishment for that? Because the very people who are organizing them in line led this country and didn't give them any hope.
Well,
you understand?
It's a coalition of opposition.
Oh, I'm talking about the master architect.
Oh, so you think that the end is your
Oh, yes, of course. Who
okay.
is?
Right.
So the point I am making is that we need to get to a point where we're serious. Okay?
What about those who think that this commission will not unravel anything?
Well, if
because some have suggested, for instance, that the minister in charge of national security should step down. Other than that, this commission will not be fruitful.
Well, right. They have every right, and I think that in this particular environment to make requests, and we have a listening president. If the system allows that to happen, yes. But you see, right, you and I know in this country. Okay, and I don't know who is making that call.
Well, some security analysts,
okay.
Adams Bonafrance, are suggesting that Mr. Brian Achampong should be made to step aside.
Yeah, Mr. Adam Bona, I know him. I've been on programs with him, but I wonder where he was when Free Ankara was, rather promoted closer to the seats of government when he was being investigated.
But he was removed when the investigations were
removed to go to where?
He was taken off as a sports minister.
To go to where?
Only asking that once investigations are on, Mr. Achampong should be taken off.
To
go
to where?
Until after investigation.
Wait where? In his house? But a Free Anchor didn't wait in his house. So where is Mr. Adam Bona?
So are you?
Wait.
Would you say that Mr. Achampong should be removed and given another position?
I'm not saying so. I'm only telling you what was. Okay, and
so he was removed as a sports minister and taken to the presidency.
Okay,
is it your
which is where power is directed
Is it
from?
also your suggestion that Mr. Achampong should be removed and perhaps put somewhere?
I'm not saying so. I'm only telling you where Mr. Adam Bona was when a Free Ankara, was taken from sports ministry to where the power really, the locus of power is. Okay, because perhaps he couldn't influence things when he was in sports ministry, but at the seat of power.
So you don't think he should be removed?
I'm not saying this or that.
But what do you think?
No, I'm saying Mr. Adam Bona, who is advising all of us to do that. Where was he, and what has he said about that one? I'm not passing any judgment. I'm saying where was he, and what is he saying about Free Ankara? And whoever he gave that interview to, maybe he should have reminded him. Were you here when Free Ankara did say?
What do you
think?
think?
The point here.
What do you think?
What I think is
about Mr. Achampong being in office while this investigation is on.
Right. What I think is this: two things. That we have a bold president who, in the history of this country, all the by-elections, skirmishes have happened on a higher proportion. Okay, magnitude, terrible stuff has happened. Never in our history was one of them investigated.
You think what we saw is in the West?
I told you from the beginning that because this is not to play down what happened there, okay? But I'm telling you the magnitude, okay? It's not comparable to anything that happened in Tiwa.
I see.
In Cherponi,
18 people shot.
I am telling you, you have those things because this happened here in Accra and all the media was present. Okay? But the ones that happened elsewhere, well, I'm telling you in 2016, okay, in Esutifi South, individuals, I can show you video, I can have you talk to them, your media house talk to them. Individuals whose limbs have been cut. Okay, people who cannot walk today because of 2016 election in the Esutifi South constituency. They talk about an individual MP cannot. Let me just finish. A parliamentary candidate cannot come out from his house. I'm telling you, a parliamentary candidate in the Esutifi South could not go and campaign, let alone come out from their house. You understand? So we're talking about individuals who are not focused on doing what will take us forward. Okay, they are nitpicking on things because that's what they think serves them, when we all should focus on what serves Ghana. That's the objective that I want us to see. This president, despite all the distractions from the NDC, specifically in Parliament and elsewhere, has been focused on doing what serves Ghana's interest. And in fact, the 2 years, okay, and the policies that we have put in place, if we're being very dispassionate and objective in our own individual ways, look at it objectively and look at it vis-a-vis the objective of developing this country and what other countries have done to come to where they are today that we envy or we aspire to become like. This government has set the foundation for those in 2 years. So the least I expect from our engaging party is to solemnly support this government. Where there are skirmishes that we have to address, let's address those objectively. Let's not politicize those. Let's not take those and seek capital out of them. Let us not take those and say Ghana is coming to an end because of that, when worse things happen under you. And and lastly, you, the media, must stand up and do your work also.
We are not doing our work?
No, I don't think so. In ways that allow us...
Since when?
Because, here's the thing. You know,
since when?
I'll get to that. You know, since this Fourth Republic, okay?
Stop doing our work.
No. Since this Fourth Republic, the progress we have made so far, okay, the media cannot be discounted. Your contribution cannot be discounted. But what I am saying is that we need to have a media that is engaged, that is standard in the middle, to say that we are trying to referee, we are trying to hold politicians' feet to the fire. But what we just talked about, and I'll give you instances much later once my brother has it. Yes. But the point is, when you have an individual like my senior brother Adam Bona giving an interview to create an impression.
He was only making a suggestion.
It's an interview. I'm referencing that. I think I listened to the same interview too. And I'm saying that the media should tell them that, look, this is a good idea, but this same thing happened at the point. Why do we
need to go back?
Of course.
Is that not where we voted that particular government out?
We
should look for
that is a very convenient. That's a very convenient assertion. You cannot aim where you are going if you don't know where you're coming from. After all, where are you going? If where you are, it's okay. You understand? So it is always instructive at certain moments to understand where you're coming from, because that informs you. Of course, that's the reason we need a commission of inquiry to understand where we're coming from, to advise us where we are going should be better.
Okay, I'm grateful. Honorable Aziz, so you can start from, I saw you looking at your watch, but don't worry, I'm the timekeeper. I'm the timekeeper. Everything's fine. I wanted to find out, is Parliament aware of this issue, this argument about the fact that the Commission, before it has to be set up, will need some input from Parliament? Is that the case?
Good morning to you, good morning to Richard, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Not that I know of, and I'm not also aware of any process in Parliament to support the creation of this commission. And so let us wait and see. I have seen a communication from the presidency signed by the Director of Communications, setting up the commission of inquiry. I'm not aware of any attempt of any kind in Parliament to give credence or support this commission of inquiry.
But do you share the opinion of people that the president cannot set up a commission of inquiry without going through Parliament?
I have read a portion of the Constitution that talks about commission of inquiry, and it does not in any way, at least to the best of my understanding, it does not mention Parliament as a variable in the creation of a commission of inquiry. I stand for correction, but I have read Article 280, and there's nowhere that Parliament is cited as an institution that would kickstart the process of setting up a commission of inquiry. But we cannot discuss this issue without looking at the context, the background of the entire event, and the magnitude of the problem we are talking about here. We cannot. You see, I have heard several MPP communicators who have tried to say that this was just an event at one polling station and that the magnitude did not require the action that we are calling for. That cannot be true, and that cannot be supported by the facts. That for the first time in the history of this country, you have party tax, vigilante groups, in fact I call them local terrorists, who were uniformed with the taxpayers' money. They were riding in police vehicles. They were wielding ammunitions, attacked the residence of a parliamentary candidate in a broad daylight, shot indiscriminately at innocent Ghanaians without any mercy, and the police were helpless. And you want us to believe that similar things have happened in this country. That cannot be true. Whether we are referencing Talensi, Etiwa, or Cherpuni, this is unprecedented and we must condemn it. We cannot. All that he has referred to, Etiwa, Cherpuni, Talensi, yes, some level of violence were recorded. And in fact, in one of them, the then candidate Akufo-Addo, now President Akufo-Addo, claimed responsibility. At least in the case of Etiwa, he's on record to have claimed responsibility on behalf of the NPP that in the case of Etiwa, what they did was just something small, and that they were going to do more of that in 2012 general elections. And so we know where we are coming from to sort to argue that what happened in Ayawaso.
Even before you go on, I hope I don't distract. Is it to suggest? Is it what he said that suggests he claimed responsibility, or you think that he claimed responsibility?
My tree is very terrible, so I don't want to go there. If someone says that in Etiwa, we've shown them something small, and we all know what happened in Etiwa.
Okay, so based on that,
exactly,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
The logic there is very simple. That President Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, claimed responsibility of the violence in Etiwa. Right. In fact, this country is governed by a constitution, and no one in this country, including President Akufo-Addo, is a law unto himself. There are only two security institutions that can maintain and deploy force: the Ghana Police Service and the military, the Ghana Armed Forces. In fact, Bright, just for purposes of emphasis, Article 210 of the 1992 Constitution, there shall be the Ghana Armed Forces of Ghana, who shall consist of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and other services for which provision is made by Parliament. No person shall raise an arm. No person shall raise an armed force except or under the authority of an act of Parliament. As far as I know, Parliament has not authorized any security institution again. And so for Brian Achampong, the minister responsible for national security, to have established a force, arm them, uniform them, and deploy them in a by-election is criminal and an affront to this 1992 constitution that governs this country. But I am surprised that we want to defend the untenable, even on national televisions. What is wrong is wrong. A commission of inquiry, an afterthought. It happened, the event happened on the 31st of January. At least we are almost halfway the month of February. The President of the Republic, who is the chairman of the National Security Council, was in this country when it happened. Now he had to make a call from abroad to set up a commission. It only tells you that he's only yielding to public pressure. He's only yielding to public pressure.
He's a listening president.
He should have known right from the word go that what we recorded in Ayawaso demanded a full-scale investigations. He was in this country. It now had to take the vice president, perhaps via telephone, to get clearance to set up a commission of inquiry. Very, very interesting. You see, when you set up a commission of inquiry, and the words that were captured in the letter setting up the commission of inquiry, those are not the words of President Akufo-Addo or Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Those are the dictates of our constitution. So when you talk about the commission being mandated to make full, faithful, and impartial inquiry, those are the dictates of the 1992 Constitution. And so that letter alone does not give us the comfort that there will be a faithful there will be a full, faithful, and impartial inquiry. These are words contemplated and expressed by the 1992 Constitution. But right, Mr. Emil Short, Patrick K. Achampong, the former IGP, and Madam Henrietta,
Mrs. Henrietta
Mensa Bonsu. We can tell you, Patrick Achampong was appointed the head of CID in 2001 by President Kufuor, and you and I know the police architecture in this country, and we all have decried it, that the president should not have the luxury of appointing almost every top position at the Ghana Police Service, including the office of the IGP. Of course, that is the dictates of our constitution. And so from that, it flows that presidents would normally appoint people who can play the ball to their chest. Patrick Achampong was appointed by President Kufuor as a CID boss in 2001. In fact, prior to that, he was the head, he was the commandant at the Ghana Police Training School. Right after President Kufuor became president, he appointed him as a CID boss and later promoted him to become the IGP of the Republic. Madam Henrietta, Professor Henrietta, a very fine legal brain. You can't doubt her credentials as an academic and a lawyer. No, you cannot. But why? We are also aware that she was part of the National Reconciliation Commission. She was a board member of GBC, New Times, a lot of boards that she served on under President Kufuor. I'm just telling you this to tell you that we can go to know the background of the individuals. We would see the level of work that they will do. I would request that they should do a public hearing, because that is what the Constitution requires of them to do, except only in situations where there are moral or security issues involved. That requires that they should sit in camera, but an ordinary commission of this sort should do their hearing in public, and that's what we require of them to do. But Bright, are you aware that the report of a commission is equivalent to a decision of a high court, and that flowing from the Ghana at 50 case that was brought against the state by Dr. Wiko Brobe, you cannot use the findings of a commission to prosecute any person in this country. And so if indeed we are interested in prosecuting these people, must that be the way? The president is the chairman of the National Security Council. Okay? Your minister, the minister that the president has appointed in charge of national security at the presidency, says that I deployed them, I recruited them, I armed them, I uniformed them, and I deployed them. I coordinated all that they did. If you have this demonstrable evidence, and you cannot do prosecutions right from the word go, do you need a commission of inquiry? That, of course, you know that you cannot use a report to indict them and to prosecute them. We have seen videos gone viral. We have seen their faces. People know where they live. And all that you require is to be a commission of inquiry. I hope that this will not be an attempt to clean the mess for President Akufo-Addo and his minister in charge of national security. Right, whether we like it or not, we will put the blame at the doorsteps of President Akufo-Addo. After all, he is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He is the chairman of the National Security Council. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the chairman of the Ghana Police Service. And that with the principle of ultimate responsibility. And a very recent case, the case of Madam Charlotte Osei, that procurement issues, even though she was not a procurement officer, but the mere fact that she was the head of that institution, President Akufo-Addo dismissed her. So we are saying that the principle of ultimate responsibility lies on President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Those 18 people who have been injured, who have received gunshots, some of them life-threatening injuries. They are also husbands, they are fathers, and they are citizens of this republic. Why do you pay your tax to a state? Only for that state, through a government, to arm, attack, to come after you. But you see,
okay, right. Let me take a quick look.
That all comes into the conversation of thuggery and political vigilantism. You are aware that we have complained time without number about these invisible forces, the Delta forces, and nothing has been done to disband these groups. If for nothing at all, I have heard Freddie Blay insist that they will not disband them. I have heard Sami Oku, who is the national organizer of the NPP, on Joy News indicate that he will not disband them because they will need them for 2020. I've heard him say so. And all the moral groupings in this country have been quiet, to the extent that we have received condemnation from UNDP, Ghana Bar Association, the minority in parliament, CODEO, very reputable institutions in this country should tell you the magnitude of the problems we are talking about. For God's sake, we are in 2019. Okay. To now use events of Etiwa, where you even claim responsibility, to justify what's happening today is a pity. Okay. We cannot allow that to happen in this country.
I'm grateful. But when I come back, Rachel will react to some of the issues that he's raised. Stay with us. We'll be back in a couple of seconds. All right, welcome back to the conversation. Richard, we left off at where Honorable Aziz made some, raised some issues with the commission. Perhaps a quick reaction, particularly on the fact that, I mean, this report cannot be used to prosecute the persons involved, if there are any.
Yes, right. We are fully aware of that. But then that's what we have. The Constitution gives us that, and we all know that we need to work on a constitution. So, but that's what we have now. It is better. At least we'll have the information. We'll have the knowledge, what led to it. But I see the good thing in this occasion, which is why I would say before we end this show, my brother should do the honorable thing, which I know he always do, to commend the president, because his president couldn't have done it. Okay.
Then what?
He's also arguing that he's arguing that the president could simply, since the minister in charge of national security had told him that I took the people there, instead of the commission, the president could have sat him down and say, so you tell me what exactly happened, and then the processes can continue from
and bring those boys.
Right. You know what that sounds like? It's usurping, president usurping other people's responsibilities. President is not interrogator, he's not a enforcer of security, whatever. He's not supposed to be doing this. Okay, he has people who are doing it. But the reason I was saying that he should commend the president, but by the time we get ready to leave here, is that it's not only a commission of inquiry that is underway, right, but the police themselves are engaged. And in fact, as you and I sit here, the police has actually taken steps to broaden and increase the auxiliary agencies under them that is focused on this matter. You understand? So the findings that the commission will bring, they are to give us insight into what happened and fully give us the fact. And that is going to be instructive for us going forward. But the police are proceeding with their investigations. That can be facts that people can be disciplined for or sanctioned for. So that element also is there, and we need to recognize that. So it's not only an inquiry like they did or they would not have done, which in many. Well, what I'm talking about, you did when it came to Mr. Free Ankara and some other isolated cases. But on a serious matter like Talency and the rest of them, they didn't do anything. They wouldn't have done it. But here we have a bold president who have done it, and I will implore him to at least commend him, His Excellency, for that, because then that makes you a fair commentator on the matter of the day. But you see, he said a lot of things, and I think they're very interesting. Talk about the minister, Honorable Minister Brian Champo. interdict him and or president call him, and the man's job is security. So if for some reason, okay, he says that, okay, I deployed those people, he's doing his work until there's a fact contrary that what the work he did, okay, is something that creates a problem. Why do you want him to be summarily taken from his job? That's what he's supposed to do. Now you tell me, if he didn't do it, he didn't do his job and something happened, what would you say? You understand? So the point is not, you know,
his job
is
to arm and take them there.
His job is to provide security.
Okay.
Okay, and he's done that job until and unless we find contrary evidence to say that he's gone too far or didn't do the work the way he's supposed to do. We cannot be sitting in the studio and say, "Oh, pull the man off, take him where? To where? Was he supposed to just sit and watch?" Please,
he will not impede investigations.
Why would he impede? And what interest does he have to impede? Because he was honestly doing his job. And I'm saying that let's not begin to prejudge things. You understand? My brother also said the thing about, oh, Mr. Achampon, we know him, under President Kufuor, Madam So, we know him. Why? Does he want saints? Does he want NDC? Right, I'm very serious. Does he want NDC people to do this? They have done this and we have seen it. It's not, it's just a summary conclusion of things that they have no facts about. And I can tell you some of the facts, and because there's a commission going to investigate, there's certain things that we know and certain things that they themselves, their people, are peddling around that we've heard. Okay? So the point is not every day trying to say, oh, we don't want this, we don't want that. What do you want? Okay, we have a leader who is engaged in trying to do the best for this country. He mentioned from the Constitution that the language in the terms of reference to say they should do what they call full and faithful impartial investigation is from the Constitution, and therefore we don't. What else can you have confidence in beyond the Constitution? If the president is invoking the Constitution to say that the Constitution should be the standard for this inquiry to ensure that you are doing everything to the letter. Now, again, he also said...
Quickly.
Yes,
I'll take comments and come back.
Okay.
So quickly.
So he also said...
You have to hold on. I'll take
he says that, oh, the president is an afterthought. The president is in some place...
Do you know why it took the president so long to set up the commission? That's his suggestion.
Right. So you want a president who will not think about issues.
Well, I'm only asking.
You want...
That's not what
yes,
I want.
I'm saying...
I'm really asking.
I mean, it's a rhetorical question. It's a rhetorical question.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is that you want an impulsive leader. We've seen that under them. We've seen such impulsive leadership, and that does not help Ghana. But we want a situation where you reflect. Of course, when did the president leave Ghana? The thing happened on 31st. Yes, he left Ghana on a working visit. But you see, the mistake my honorable brother made is that the vice president, though a vice president, is the president as we speak this material moment. So he's the president. So there's nothing like, oh, the vice president and all that. He is the president.
All right. Let me welcome Johnny once again. Take some comments
for Ghana.
And then we'll come back. Johnny.
Thank you. Good morning, TV3 panelists. MPP should stop this, their emotional action that Ghanaians are upset with NDC for calling Madame Lydia a bloody widow. But my question is, Madame Lydia a widow? Who said Madame Lydia is the late Ejaku's wife? MPP should give us a break. Which name did MPP didn't call the late Professor Mills? Or what did Esla Owusu and Otiko Jaba, who are now looking after her sick ex-husband, didn't do to ex-President Mahama? Call Mr. Bright. I salute NDC refusing to apologize to Madame Lydia yesterday in Parliament. 2020 boot for boot, you say, Kofi Nedina. Good morning, all. Very unfortunate and politically infantile, like Mr. Richard espouses to be what he clearly isn't. If he really wanted to support on government policies, he and his party should have demonstrated that when in opposition. Cheap political expediency, indeed, IB. Right, the MPP man is beating about the bush. Initially, they told us that NDC people staged this violence. Now, if the security minister comes out to say he deployed them, what do we need that commission for? Samuel Kwenu is my name. Good morning, Mr. Bright, Mr. Amfo. Tell the MPP man that the comparison he's making is baseless. Those places were clearly clashes between MPP boys and NDC boys, but recent one was between opposition and state security, whose duty it was rather to ensure peace peace between the two parties. Simon from Tamale. In a civilized society, not only ministers will resign, also president will be prosecuted after imposing 111 ministers on small economy like Ghana and killing us each and every day. God save Ghana. Kwablavi of Pokwasi, Benghazi says the Agbewo demo is coming on, whether the majority likes it or not. We're going to do what we call citizen arrest should anybody come to misbehave by shooting or attacking any of our members. We are ready for boot for boot. Good morning, TV3. To you and Bright. These incidents happened in the past and it was not condemned. A woman was whipped and the government at the time didn't do anything about it. Bright. NDC doesn't respect women. Look at what they did to Madam Lydia. Shame, NDC. His Majesty in Tema. Those are your thoughts. Alaji Hamza in Pig Farm says setting up the commission to investigate this shameful and barbaric act at Ayawaso West Wagon is total waste of the poor taxpayers' money. I can assure you nothing concrete is going to come out of it. The criminals and hooligans are known to the public and there's video evidence which can be used to arrest these hooligans. In any case, where is the commission's report of the Australia visa scandal? This country needs prayers under this wicked government. Good morning, TV3. I salute your panelists. The commission set up by the president is just a cover-up. Ghana is under the state of siege under this government by Abdel Naflawa. I don't understand what the MPP man is saying. Where is the development of success of Ghana this man is talking about? MPP is a monumental failure. Kweku La Paz. Good morning, TV3. Tell the MPP man that well-meaning Ghanaians are now aware of their deceit and lies. You can't compare Talensi by-election to that of Ayawaso West by-election. Philip Yin from Tongo and old Ghana. What are we investigating? Commission formed? Someone said he sent them. Did we not all see the footages and credible videos? Simply, why not call the one who sent them to bring them? God is watching. Marlene Ho. And finally, how do we think as Ghanaians for praising the president in setting a commission to investigate brutalities caused by the president's own inaction by setting a parallel security force to that of the state? Why should we glorify the wrongs of this government? Yamoha in Wa, and maybe this one, Richard, is for you. It says it's clear. Richard has not been in this country. That is why he can compare what happened at Ayawaso to Etiwa and Akwetia. We can only wish the victims speedy recovery. Kojo Impeki. Richard. Thank you.
All right, Johnny, thanks. Honorable, please come in. Quick reaction, then we'll
right, you see, what Richard is not getting is that Brenna Champong, the Minister of State responsible for national security, as a minister, you are in charge of policy, not operational functions. He has no duty whatsoever, apart from the fact that the National Security Council does not maintain and deploy any force of any kind. He is also in charge of policy and not operational. And not operation.
So he couldn't have done that?
No. For him to have admitted that he deployed them.
Even if he sensed some danger ahead.
All that you need to do is to alert the security chiefs to take action. He's a minister responsible for policy and not operational. Now, Bright, we listened to the director of the Ghana Police Service in charge of PRO, public relations, right? Indicate that they were not aware of those boys there. We also listened to the director in charge of operations say they didn't know about them. The director in charge of operations, Ghana Police, that they didn't know of those boys at all. The IGP himself is heard loud and clear saying they didn't know about those boys at all, and yet they were riding in police vehicles. That same IGP says he wants to do some investigations of a sort. Now, you see, when I say the commission is an afterthought, initially what they attempted doing was to use their party communicators to dilute the issues. And so first they started by saying that, oh, this was orchestrated by the NDC because they knew they were going to lose the elections. Some of them even accused some judge, a sitting member of parliament, who was assaulted, and we all saw it. A sitting member of parliament. And you want to compare it to Talensi and Etiwa and Cherpuni, where you even claim responsibility for some of them? That cannot be. So they attempted shifting the goalpost, orchestrated by the NDC. They accused some judge of going there with some 50 motorbikes, and when that didn't fly, they now put on their thinking caps. They came under public pressure to do a commission of inquiry. But you see, even the commission of inquiry's findings, the president has the right to either accept or reject the findings of the commission. And that is why we are saying that, look, an appointee of the president, the IGP, is carrying out investigations. The president himself has constituted a commission of inquiry. So what are you doing? They are really confused because this issue is eating them up. And when I say, look, those boys, they have the inscription, NSC, which means National Security Council. The National Security Council is provided for in Article 83. It is not a force. The members of the National Security Council is provided for in Article 83. The president, the vice president, ministers for the time being holding the portfolios of foreign affairs, defense, interior, finance, and such other ministers as the president may determine, and then some other security chiefs. And so when you have boys wearing some uniform of a sort with National Security Council inscriptions, I am worried. But Bright, let me just refer you to quickly wrap up the commission of inquiry that they are putting in place, and it is laughable. The terms of reference of the commission, right? To make a full, faithful, and impartial inquiry into the circumstances of and establish the facts leading to the events and associated violence during the Ayawaso by-election. There was no event apart from the violence. And now you say that to identify persons responsible for or who has been involved in the events, associated violence and injuries. When someone has admitted responsibility, you are still saying that they should identify people. All that you need to do is to call Brother Champong, ask him to bring the boys that he deployed, and you have them. In fact, if they don't know them, they should come. We will show them where they live.
I'm grateful. Richard, wrap up, but you have to be brief because I'm just in wrapping up. We'll be showing you live.
Let me just answer this one and you laugh. You see, terms of reference of a commission of inquiry. Terms of reference. D.
We've all read that letter.
To submit within 1 month its report to the president, giving reasons for their findings and conclusions. Is that a terms of reference?
Okay, I'm grateful. But you can see live pictures of what's happening at Obra Sport there. But Richard,
and I'll join them
quickly react and wrap up. Don't keep too long.
Well, there's a lot to say. Anyway, but here's the thing.
I've done that for you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, the thing is, some of your, testers, I appreciate their thoughts, but they say some people, they didn't understand the full picture of what we're talking about. Nobody is comparing Talensi to what happened here. We're trying to say that there have been by-election skirmishes that were not investigated. If that had been done, perhaps what happened in Ayawaso would have happened. That's the instructive lesson that we're trying to put across. So we're not comparing apples to apples and say that happened, so this equalizing anything. We're saying that if something happens someplace and it's wrong, why didn't we learn from that earlier so we prevent what is happening today? You understand? And I think you want to go and see that, but otherwise I have some issues that I want to address. We're just wrapping up.
Yes.
You see, the issue to say that, somebody accept responsibility. Nobody has accepted responsibility. You just give us the principle that says the buck stops with the leader. Okay, to say that the minister, Honorable Brana Champong, saying that he deployed them doesn't mean that he physically said you go here. No. Okay. You understand? It is essentially, my understanding could be because he's the superintendent leader in that space, he took responsibility for what has happened. It doesn't mean that he did it, so therefore pull him and say, go and bring this, go and bring that. They would need the issue to be investigated, and then the findings there, excuse me, the findings there is what we are interested in. I don't care that it happened under us, and I don't think the president cares. The president wants us to get the facts to help Ghana.
We are not committed.
We are not committed to
finding the
Honorable Abdulaziz is a member of the NDC. Stay with us. There is more coming.
Well, every time we hear about farmers and herders and cattle, we know that we're talking about some violence of some sort, and that doesn't seem to be good news for us as Ghanaians, because when these things happen, everyone seems to suffer. You may think it's far-fetched from you, but indeed, if the herders and the farmers are at loggerheads, we all suffer from that. And going to be talking to me about how to move forward from this is Bismarck Owusu-Norte. He is Program Officer for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Also, I've got Dr. Opon Anane. He is the Chairman for the Cattle Ranching Committee. And finally, I've got Imam Hanafi Sunday. He's the President of Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So it's good to have all three of you here, each being a representative and, of course, having the chairman for the committee. But I'd like to find out what your collaborative efforts have been able to bring, out so far.
All right, thank you, and good morning to your viewers. Let me just give a brief background of what's been necessitated this press release that we issued. If you, of course, you're in the media, and I know you follow a lot of reports of the incidences of conflicts between the farmers and the herders. Right. Yeah, and the brutalities and the casualties that are suffered even both ways, both the farmers and the herders. But if you study over the period, it seems that the reports have gone down a bit, and probably people might think that, oh, things are okay. Right. But when you look on the ground, those are not the situation. In fact, recently there are quite some media reports about some death of some herdsmen. Right. Yeah. So looking at that, we thought that there was an action that needs to be taken. If you remember, around last year, we had the President commission one of the ranches in, I think, the Eastern region or so. And we felt that that was a good step in trying to ensure that we bring an end to this conflict. But I realized that the ranches alone are not sufficient to end the conflict. We need a guiding law. We need something that will guide the activities of both farmers and herdsmen. So in the spirit of that, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, together with the Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers, through a support from the Business Advocacy Fund, that's BUSAC, decided to embark on a project that we titled the Cattle Ranching Law for Peaceful Coexistence between crop farmers and cattle farmers. So as part of this project is to see that we develop what we see as the guiding framework that's supposed to be the vehicle that we expect that would drive the formation of the policy. Right. And luckily for us, the consultant that we had was a government appointed person, the person of the chairman of the Ghana Cattle Ranching Committee. Okay. So of course he has tremendous experience in all these issues about pastoral policy and transhumance. Yeah. So together we developed what we call the Ghana Pastoral Policy, which is a draft now. And the idea is that that policy is supposed to be the engine that will move all of us to agree on a law that will guide activities of this cattle. Because if we're able to do that, we are going to bring a permanent end to this conflict and not do the temporary ones that we think we are having, which we know that's not the case. So basically the essence is to get this policy out there, get people to know about it, and then once you go to the various stages, we can have it pass into law so that it becomes a policy that will guide us.
Dr. Opon, and as chairman, let me come to you because I hear what you're saying, where the policy is supposed to be for the first time in a long time, a permanent solution to this whole issue of farmers and herders. But even as it stands now, there are some unwritten laws or some codes of conduct that everyone understands between farmers and herders should be there. But there's always a point where someone has breached the law, and I think it's because there are no sanctions for these breaches. So is it just enough to come out with a policy and leave it as that, or are you also talking or thinking about ways to deal with people who offend these laws that you are proposing?
Yeah, that is very right. If you have laws and they are not implemented adequately, and there are no sanctions, then it will not work. And therefore the policy also goes with sanctions, because everybody knows what needs to be done and what not to be done. But occasionally, we get some of the herders who willfully do wrong things. And such people should be brought to book. So there are sanctions in the policy.
Okay. Very well. Imam, let me come to you also as President of Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers. How easy is it to keep your cattle, you know, in a limited space. Because obviously when we talk about ranching, they're going to provide ranches that need to have food for these cattle we're talking about. And in Ghana, we've become so used to the trend where the cattle are open and, you know, free to graze anywhere. So now where you're going to be confined to a limited space, supposing our mechanism cannot sustain the feeding, for example, how are you going to be able to keep your people in check and make sure that we all abide by these laws we are planning to put out?
Well, thank you very much. And then we say good morning to all our viewers. My elders have already spoken. What I would just say there is that we all know that the issue of the headers is a very, very tough issue. Right. And then it needs to be tackled with a very, very strong focus. So the issue of the cattle ranching is a very good initiative, as we are starting to do something. Even though if you are not used to it, it begins with a day. Right. Then gradually you adopt. So, but for now, we understand. I being also a member of the Ghana Cattle Ranching Committee, and then the leader of the Ghana Cattle Farmers Association, I do understand that the ranching project is what we call a piloting project, which is to try and see how best we could be able to confine our cattle.
Very well.
So, but as my Mr. Bismarck said, that is not enough, because if looking at the number of cattle we have across the country, we cannot be able to just use this system of ranching to be able to come out with the entire or solve the problem. But also, I think it is captured in the policies concerning grazing reserves, whereby at least we believe that regions and districts must have some special grazing reserves for cattle where they would dwell in and then move as they've been moving, but in a specific place. As well as the ranching issue is also going on gradually to adopt the new system.
Very well. So finally, from the committee, what is your view, or what do you expect citizens also to do in partaking in this whole fight against, you know, cattle being reared anywhere or, you know, miscreantly, as it were?
Yeah, we definitely need the cattle.
We do.
Yeah, for meat, for milk, hide for shoes and so on. But they ought to be kept properly. Right. We've mentioned the ranches, but as has been said, they are just meant for some animals, particularly those within the country. But the problem that we have is not only caused by only those in the country, but the cross-border headers, which is on an annual basis. They come during the dry season, and then when there's pasture and water, they go back in the various countries. And they also must have a place where the animals will be kept. So that's why we are talking about the grazing reserves. These are land set aside that could be improved. I mean, the pasture will be improved. There will be water. There may be veterinary center and so on. Then these animals will be there. Feed will be made available to them. They will have water. And then they even have to pay for the utilization of these resources. And that brings in money to the country, as well as the marketing, the meat and so on that we get.
Very well. On that note, let me say a big thank you to you, because you've tried to help us understand why this is necessary moving forward, where in the near future we won't be hearing about farmers and herders being at loggerheads, because when that happens, like I said, we all suffer. Food becomes an issue, cattle becomes an issue, and milk is certainly a problem for all of us. But I have been speaking to three gentlemen on this issue. I've been speaking to Bismarck Owusu-Norte, Program Officer for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, also Dr. Opon Anani, who is the Chairman for the Ghana Cattle Ranching Committee, and finally Imam Hanafi Sunday. He's the President of Ghana National Association of Cattle Farmers, and we have been talking about the policy, the Ghana Pastoral Policy, the vehicle to drive cattle ranching law in Ghana. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more here on Newday. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and thank you very much indeed. Evangelist Papa She is my guest. I'm sure you know by now. Chief, Happy New Year. Good to see you. The swag is still on.
This is the Holy Spirit.
This is the Holy Spirit swag.
Yes.
The white, the all white and a bit of blue and pink.
Yes.
That's the Holy Spirit spec.
Yes.
I love Jesus. That's the inscription on your hand.
Yeah. Because normally people say Jesus loved me, Jesus, but we have to show appreciation to Yahweh, the creator of the universe, and then the Son Jesus. So I love Jesus. So I just want to.
How did you become an evangelist? Because we know Papa Shi, the hit maker, the high life maestro, Ataji, maybe Martin Newday. And then we wake up one morning and I'm not Papa Shi, the one you know, I'm evangelist Papa Shi. How?
Let me pray and then we start talking. Yeah. Heavenly Father, I humble myself this hour, Lord. I pray in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, take a solid control over my lips. Holy Spirit, set me apart. Speak through me to your people. Bless them. Open their spiritual eyes to see. Open their ears to hear your voice alone. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen.
And amen.
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 Why did we have to pray before we started the conversation?
Yeah, because I serve the living God, and then without him, I am nothing now. The Papa Shi, you know, has passed. Long time, yes.
How did you become evangelist Papa Shi?
Actually, I was a church goer
as
I was doing my music in Ghana and around the world. But I had a calling, and I was normally trying not to, be there for God. And I used to go to church, but the lifestyle was too kind of, and you can't serve God with those things.
What were you doing?
Yeah, because I was doing weightlifting, going to nightclub, girls do things like it doesn't please God. And I was running away.
At the time, how many girlfriends did you have? I'm curious to know.
Oh no, I normally go out with one girl.
Just
but
one at a time.
Yeah, because but in myself I don't feel that is
but
right.
You do things.
Yeah, because I was in the world, so I was doing those kind of things. But I was running away from my calling, which I know. And I was nearly had a plane crash in London.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you remember I released the East Coast and West Coast?
Right.
And even I launched it here in TV3. Yeah. That time, the Lord saved me from my incidents. Right. But instead of me coming here as we are here today, left his holy name, I didn't do that because I know that Ghanaians are not going to believe me.
What was preventing you? Apart from the fact that Ghanaians didn't believe you, what was preventing you?
Yeah, because they did the same thing to Paul. It wasn't easy for Saul become a Paul. So, and then I never been to Bible school. My mom or my dad wasn't a pastor. They know me as a entertainer, Papa Shi, who sing Koyonso, Atadwe, Wadi, Ntifemano, those kind of songs, saying Kwan and that song. So you come and say, I'm a pastor, or I'm going to preach. Nobody will believe you anyway. So I was kind of scared. So no, I'm not going to do that.
Do you regret composing those songs?
It became a history anyway. God knows more than I do.
Do you regret composing those?
No, because at that time I was using my career to help other people. And I started my music career at the age of 5 in Asante Mampa. I was a dancer, dancing in school, and then before Mr. Kwesi Ampofo-Adjei took me, and then after working with Ampofo-Adjei, I started with my brother Charles K. Tulumba.
Right.
So we started after that. I started my own career.
If you get to know that people used your song at the time to do promiscuous things, sleep with girls and smoke and drink and did worldly things with it, would you regret?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. Because God don't want us to do that. God don't want even the children of God to do that. God wants us to serve in spirit and truth. And then God is the one who gives the talent. But we have the enemy. Enemy is the Satan. Yeah, Jesus said in John 10 verse 10 that the enemy don't come to steal and kill and destroy, because God gives you a talent, and if you don't use the talent properly, the enemy will steal your talent anyway.
I remember that yellow convertible that you had, sweet convertible. The swag is still on. Papa Shi was the ish at the time.
Yeah.
But Evangelist Papa Shi, you didn't change the name Papa Shi. Why?
No, because God wants people to know that this is a Papa Shi, a sinner, that I took him from nowhere, and then I cleansed him with my precious blood. So God wants people to know that this is the Papa Shi has transformed from Papa Shi to Evangelist.
What does Papa Shi mean?
Oh, it was a stage name anyway.
Papa Shi, I said.
No.
It's not Shi.
Papa Shi, like just a nickname.
A nickname.
It's not like.
If any of these young musicians found any of your songs at Taji, East Coast, West Coast, whatever it is, and they want to do a collaboration with you now, would you do with them?
If the whole world has been given to me, I won't sing those songs anymore. No way.
Really?
No way. I've been doing evangelism in America for 11 years now. without paying from anybody. No, I just love Jesus. I just love God because He has saved my soul anyway. And then I still kicking. I still have a life. So I want the whole world to know that God exists, Yahweh exists, and the Jesus Christ of Nazareth, Yeshua HaMashiach, is real.
How do you feel when you hear those songs, Ataje and West Coast, East Coast? How do you feel?
Oh no, I just, it's a history. It doesn't move me anymore anyway. It doesn't move me. The cakes, the harmonies, or it doesn't move me. I know that is the history, part of the history of the journey. So the Lord has took me from the world. Now I preach the gospel to the poor. People are getting delivered, and then people are getting healing, and then they are giving glory to Yahweh. So I place that, you know, I see people are knowing God, and then they are going to heaven. Their name is written in the book of life. Right. I'm very happy. So those music has passed away.
I see. Let's take a look at Ataje. It's history, Osofo says, but take a look at it. What does Ataje mean? What's Ataje?
Ataje is a tiger nut.
What did you mean in this song?
No, this song I did it for Otumfuo, Osetutu the second, because I'm an Ashanti.
Right.
Full Ashanti.
Right.
So
Take Okosunana.
Yeah, take Okosunana, as you know. So I just dedicated the song to Otumfuo to welcome him. Ataje means we had a good news. In the centuries when our grandpas, grandmoms, before Yasantua, when they go to war, they normally leave women back. So after the war, they meet them. They say, "What's the results?" And they say, "Ataje any accident." Means we had a good news. We defeated the enemies.
But some say Ataje is an aphrodisiac. So when the men come back from the war and they chew it, then they get active indoors.
No, it wasn't like that. When the men come back from the war, the women ask them, "What's the result?" They say, "We had a good news, Ataje." And then the women start singing Ataje.
But Asante, you know that Ataje is used.
No, it's a Ghanaian. Not Ashanti. Because people chew Ataje and then think otherwise that because of the what is inside, so they sleep with women. And as soon as somebody is in the car try to call Ataje Rabramin to be, other people watch the person. Oh, this person has another agenda.
It's charging something. I see. Interesting. Wow. So that was not what you meant.
No.
But that was what people were thinking.
No, it was half and half. I did it. I dedicated a song to Otumfuo. But I know Ghanaians like women, and the Ghanaians like darkness more than light. And that time I was in the darkness. So because I sang some of the songs, they didn't respond. I sang Mejefuni Nyankopon Ejaoba.
Once you sang this one,
and I sang Ataje, everybody say yeah. I say yeah. Even the parliament, the ministers, all of them, presidents, I sing for all of them.
I see.
They're jumping around. And you too, you love it at that time.
Interesting. Do you get tempted to go back into the world?
No way. People try to ask me like if somebody come for collaboration. No way. And then I've been tempted million times because the enemy try all kinds for me to be like cripple. Say okay, now you don't have what you have anymore. What are you going to do? But I still love Jesus. I still love him.
Now you say these songs are history. Would you take royalties from those songs? If
I don't take royalties. I wasn't here for about 15 years. Now it's 16 years. So I didn't take royalties. It was a little guy like my little brother who called me, I think last year and last 2 years. I took a year that, uncle, why you don't take? I said, I don't need it. I've been there for 15 years anyway. So
if they give you money from your songs, you won't take it?
No way.
You won't take
it? Even all the properties belongs to me. I live off. I have some CDs in London.
You have left everything?
Everything for
Evangelist.
And then listen, I'm having a program on this Valentine's Day in the Achimota, Mile 7 Park. I want everybody to come there because I did big crusade in Independence Square. It was a huge, massive, lot of people accept Yeshua HaMashiach.
Achimota Mile 7.
Mile 7 Park.
Mile 7 Park.
Anybody who's sick should come.
What time?
It's 6 o'clock to midnight.
Okay. Thank you very much. Evangelist Papashi, we're meeting with him at